George, I want to ask you about a beauty pageant. Do you remember how important the Miss America pageant used to be?
Honestly, no. Not in the least. If I wanted to see half-naked women, I knew how to get access to a Victoria's Secret catalog.
So you never actually watched Miss America?
Not once.
Wow, okay. Well, let's do a little flashback anyway, because it was an important part of my childhood anyway, if it wasn't for yours, because people did make a big deal out of Miss America. Of course, as the years went by, it became less and less relevant. Of course, no one talks about it at all. I have no idea I didn't even look it up who the current Miss America is. But it was a thing at the back in the day. And I want to just discuss two contestants who were very interesting from my past. One was Bess Meyerson. She was the first, interestingly, they're both first. Bess Meyerson is the first Jewish winner of Miss America, and she was crowned in 1945. Now, obviously I wasn't around in 1945. I had no idea who this woman was. What makes her relevant to me is that in the 80s, she was rumored to be dating Ed Koch. Do you know anything about Ed Koch?
I know he was the mayor of New York.
Was the mayor of New York City, and everyone thought he was gay. So, they came up with this story that he was...
What a better beard than Miss America.
Miss America, exactly that. So, and then it came out later that, no, they weren't dating, but they kept pretending that they were. So, I don't know why she agreed to go along with this, but he was like, it did wonders for his political career, because then he got the, because they kept implying that they would get married, but of course there was no marriage. At least he had the good taste not to do that. Because, why would you get married? But then again, I guess she would have to have been in on this. I don't know what deal they had together, but anyway.
You have it in here that she's also the only Jewish Miss America.
As far as I know. I mean, I don't know who the latest one is. Maybe she's Jewish, but
I don't know. The odds seem to be against that. For a country that's such a hard-on for Israel.
But she won, she was the only one who won at the time of this writing, as far as I know. I have no idea. I just know she was the first in 1945. And the next person to win, and maybe there were some others after this, I have no idea. The next person to win I thought was very interesting, had a very big story, was Vanessa Williams. Do you know anything about the first black Miss America from 1984? Of course, you were a child, so you wouldn't have known the controversy, but maybe you heard about it later in life.
I feel like, wasn't she also a musician?
You may be confusing them with someone else, because there's another performer named Vanessa Williams.
Okay, then I'm absolutely doing that.
Okay, yeah, she, the first black Miss America, she had to give up her crown. Since you never heard of this, you obviously have no idea. They found pictures of her and being how's the word? El natural. And there were a couple of pictures also of her rolling around with another woman naked. Clearly staged. She wasn't lesbian, but, it was a turn on the dudes. And it was published in Penthouse.
So she did some porn, yeah.
Well, soft porn. I mean, there's no penetration.
Softcore porn? If it's in Penthouse, it's porn.
Well, the thing about Penthouse that made it different from Playboy is that it, as they say, showed pink.
Yes.
But her posing did not. So, technically, she was just...
So it was tame for Penthouse.
For Penthouse. They just wanted the pictures of having Miss America naked. I think less how much they could see. Just like, hey...
Was this after she won?
Yes. Well, the pictures came out, after she won. And so
but were they taken...
Well, the pictures were taken, years ago.
Oh.
Time ago. That's how it usually works. You need money. That's I don't know how much you know about Joan Crawford, but she's a famous Hollywood actress. And, Marilyn Monroe, for that matter, also. And they took new photos because they needed money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did this, and then they became stars. And once they became stars, people started publishing, hey, look at these naked pictures of these people. There's also nude photographs of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis in the shower together. There's a nude photo of Harpo Marx. It's weird. Just Joe DiMaggio also, who was married to Marilyn Monroe, also had some nude photos of himself. Those were obviously taken before we had laws against what's the word I'm looking for? Porn, revenge porn, or whatever it's called. Although the person who published it I don't think was doing revenge, but still, it was a private shower. What's supposed to put these photos out here?
Yeah,
because he was obviously in the locker room taking a shower. He was a ball player. So, and then there he was, and he's just smiling as we look at, because of course he didn't think these things were never going to be seen to the general public. Anyway, but So, yeah, those are my two beauty pageant stories. Bess Meyerson and Vanessa Williams are the only two I know because those are the two controversies I was either around for or the ones at least I remember. I'm sure there were others, but those are the two big ones.
Okay. Let's
get into the show.
Yep.
Well, but does this still work? The podcast is movies and asks, does this still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romaka. And today we're discussing Little Miss Sunshine from 2006 and some historical context. First, podcasty stuff. We're excited to announce that we've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. We joined because we care about the safety and well-being of our community members. If you feel our behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help us make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. You can reach us at dtswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, and on our YouTube channel. Joe is on Blue Sky at joedixon.bsky.social. Please tell your friends about us, even the ones who have taken vows of silence, because that won't stop them from listening or hopefully becoming patrons, and leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/dtswpod.
Now, George, take us back to 2006.
And this is the way it was.
Before you get into it, isn't it weird that it's been 20 years? I can't believe this is a 20-year-old movie. It just feels weird to me. Even though I hadn't seen it at the time, but I don't know.
Does it feel older or younger?
It doesn't, you know what? It's actually a very good question. It doesn't feel older at all. It feels like it could have been made yesterday.
Okay. All right. No, I get that.
Even though it's 20 years ago, I guess I'm going to do this all show because I divert to other things. But
that's what we do a lot anyway.
But this observation, I'm not the first to make this, is that fashion has changed so little in the last 20 years. Unlike in the 70s, you can tell the film was in the 50s, the 40s, the 70s by the fashion. Today, you can't. This film could have been made yesterday. There's nothing weird about their clothing. There's nothing like this. The t-shirts aren't too odd. The pants aren't too odd. Everything they're wearing, you could be wearing today.
Yeah, we've kind of standardized.
Which
is weird.
Doing generational fashions. I don't know why. It's weird. Yeah, it is weird.
And if you watch movies that were filmed in the past but set in the future of now, we wear nothing. We look nothing like what people thought we were going to be wearing.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
All right. So this is a movie about a road trip to a beauty pageant in a VW bus. I'll start off by saying that the VW bus wasn't in the top 10 Kelley Blue Book picks for road trip vehicles in 2006.
Oh, really?
The number 1 pick was the 2006 Range Rover Sport, and the number 10 was the Mazda MX-5 Miata Roadster.
I don't know cars. Are those good?
I don't know them either, Joe. I wanted a VW bus story, but every VW bus story from 2006 was about this fucking movie. So I went to the next best thing. So with that out of the way, let's talk about beauty pageants.
Yep. Joe,
give us our first headline from the Big Bear Grizzly of Big Bear Lake, California.
I just want to quickly say, when I saw you wrote this Big Bear Grizzly, I had to look up and see if this is a real publication or you were just fucking with me.
When have I ever fucked with you?
What is that? What is a Big Bear Grizzly? That's a news organization? What the fuck? But But it's a real name. It's a real place.
Yes, Joseph. I don't know why. Of all the ways I could fuck with you, that would be a weird one. To write something for me to say that you would question. Okay, give us the headline.
Looking from my point of view, Big Bear Grizzly. Does that sound like a publication to you for news? I mean, maybe a story about bears or something. I know it's named after the place, Big Bear Lake, but I never heard of it, so I was like, Big Bear. Anyway, this is the headline.
Okay.
Letting go not easy for pageant organizers.
Around 1990, Julie Hastings and Kathy Fulton of Big Bear, California, took over the long-dormant Snow Queen pageant and rebranded it as the Miss Big Bear pageant. For 16 years, they ran it, not as a beauty pageant, but as a scholarship pageant, focusing on the contestant's personality, intelligence, and speaking ability rather than her looks. In 2005, they decided that their pageantry days were over and asked for volunteers to take charge. The call was answered. Now the new owner, Teresa Rittenauer, would not only have to run the show, but create connections and relationships in the community to sustain it. Well, I checked, and the 2025-26 Miss Big Bear Scholarship was still happening, at least that took place last September. I didn't see it on their city's calendar for this year, but I don't know how far out they schedule. So good luck to them.
I don't even, you know what, here's a question for you I didn't even think to ask in our discussion part. Have you actually attended a beauty pageant?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither.
Not my bag.
Yeah, it wouldn't interest me whatsoever. Even as a kid, it was like, even when I watched Miss America, like, why are we pinning ourselves through this? Especially the poor women. Yeah, that's what the Miss America pageant is supposed to be now. They got rid of the swimsuit, which is what people always say. Oh, that's why people really tune in to see women in swimsuits. Which in the middle of America maybe is so. I have no idea. But they now have it where it's just supposed to be based on intelligence and not just your looks. So, but I don't know. Maybe that's why it's so more popular.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, we're a pretty sick species. Joe, give us our last headline from the Santa Barbara News Press of Santa Barbara, California.
Child beauty pageants under renewed scrutiny.
This is more like what I expected to find. In 2006, John Carr, a then 41-year-old schoolteacher, confessed to killing 6-year-old John Benet Ramsey back in 1996. That confession turned out to be bogus, meaning the killer is still on the loose. The arrest brought the story back into public consciousness, and you can't bring that story back with also giving side-eye to child beauty pageants. We don't know that the killing had anything to do with her being in child beauty pageants, but it's hard to see the sexualization of children and not see how that could lead to untoward behavior of adults. Pageant owners say that's hogwash, but they would, wouldn't they? Other criticisms of pageant culture are that it robs children of proper childhoods and puts them under pressures they shouldn't be under. Pageant owners poo-poo that and wield whataboutism, comparing it to kids' sports.
Here's the thing. In kids' sports, it's not based on their looks. They're not doing up their hair. They're not wearing suggestive dresses and stuff. I mean, if they really wanted to do this where it's not based on the kids' beauty, physical beauty, they can make it a beauty of their minds or whatever, and just have the kids doing different things. Oh, isn't that cute? She can twirl ropes or jump through rings or whatever. They can do that. It doesn't have to be, again, making them look like 40-year-old prostitutes, frankly. It's really disturbing, some of these pageants, and how people didn't register this immediately is beyond me. It's just really weird. It's almost like people didn't know Liberace or Paul Lynde were gay. It's like, how can you look at this and not see that? They look at this beauty pageant and go like, oh, no, this is perfectly fine. Nothing's sexualized at all of the children. Really? Really? Is that what you're getting out of that? You're not seeing anything? Okay.
So, as for how the film was received culturally, it was nominated for Best Motion Picture of the Year for the Academy Awards. Alan Arkin and Abigail Breslin, who we will cover in a minute, won Best Performance by Actor and Actress in Supporting Roles. And the writer, Michael Ardent, won the Oscar for Best Writing Original Screenplay.
And let me tell you quickly about Mr. Arkin. That was his fourth Oscar nomination. I'm sorry, no, that was his third Oscar nomination. And his fourth will come in on 2012. A couple of years later, he got nominated one more time. It's the last time before he died. And so he had 4 pictures nominated. And I'm just curious, George, do you know any of them? Let's find out. Have you ever heard of a film called The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming?
Nope.
Can you guess what year that happened? That movie came out?
Last year. 2 years ago.
Last year, he's dead.
I don't know. 1993.
Well, think about it. It's about the Russians coming to America.
1992. Whatever year the Berlin Wall came down.
Not quite. It was 1966 during the Cold War.
Okay.
That's what I'm
sure.
looking for. And he got a Best Actor nomination for that. The next film he was nominated for was The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Can you guess what year that came out? Oh,
no.
It's based on a book. You may have read it.
No, Joe. I can't guess what year things came out.
Well, you can try.
Nope.
He got a Best Actor nomination for that one.
What year was it? Don't leave the audience hanging.
68.
Okay.
68. Not a great year in America, but he did get an Oscar nomination. And then Little Miss Sunshine, 2006, obviously, and he won that one. This one, it's a win. And then he went back to losing again when he got nominated for the Ben Affleck film from 2012. Can you guess what that is?
Jersey Girl?
Argo.
Okay.
Argo. And do you know what Argo was based on?
No.
It was based on the because it's kind of in the news now. As I'm sure you are aware, we overthrew the government of Iran, and we installed the Shah. And then the Shah got overthrown by the mullahs, and then there was the Iran hostage crisis in America. And so that's what the Argo was based on, is the hostage crisis. Then the film mentions it, at least. I give it credit for mentioning it, but it sort of just glosses over that we overthrew a democratically elected government. And we're still paying for that today.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was interesting. All right. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Let's talk about Little Miss Sunshine.
Let's do that. Okay. This was directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris. I think this is our first married couple, right, to direct the film?
To direct, yes. I think we've had married couple writers before.
Right. We have.
But I think it is the first time for directing.
First time directors, yes. And we had 2 brothers directing. I don't think, we haven't had 2 sisters. I wonder if there are any sister directors out there.
We'll find out eventually if we do the show long enough.
Oh. Well, hopefully they exist, otherwise we can't. unless they exist, we can't do their
Find
stuff.
them.
Okay, anyway, so for both of them, I've seen their work in Fleshman is in Trouble, which is a TV miniseries.
And for both of them, I saw the music video for Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication.
Oh, do you know that that's what the series is named after?
What series?
Oh, okay. There was a HBO, I think, television series called Californication, starring the guy from X-Files.
Yeah, I don't know if it had anything to do with the Red Hot Chili Peppers song, but California and fornication, that's a pretty close association on a number of different levels through a number of different decades. So, sure.
Yeah, I mean, the show was softcore on the fornication. That's why, and that's the only place I've ever heard it. So when I see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I assume, is that the song?
Have you ever heard the song?
I have not. No.
Oh, you should. It's a good song.
Is it? Okay. It was
The Red Hot Chili Peppers have a lot of good songs. They were a really good band.
Didn't say otherwise. This is written by Michael Arnott, and both George and I have seen his work in Inside Out.
And I've seen his work in The Hunger Games Catching Fire and Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens.
Is that the good Star Wars or the bad Star Wars?
It's the middle bed Star Wars. It's the not too hot, not too cold Star Wars.
Okay.
Like, I have way less of a problem with the sequels than I have with the prequels. Like, I went to see the sequels expecting to see a Star Wars movie, and I saw a fucking Star Wars movie, and that made me happy. I saw the prequels, and it was like, you You fuck the pooch is what you did on this. You took the idea that anybody could be a Jedi and made it based on bloodlines, you fucking asshole.
Well, a lot there. The Star Wars. Maybe it was something we'll even do a podcast dedicated just to that, because the amount of rewriting for that film as it started out in the 70s and then what eventually became, they so reversed so much of what was in the original films. It's hilarious because they didn't know it was going to be a hit. So when this is successful. Oh, we got to explain all this stuff now. Let's bring all this in. Oh, we got to change this if we want this. And anyway, we're not talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Little Miss Sunshine, and this is the blurs for it. IMDb says, a family determined to get their young daughter into the finals of a beauty pageant takes a cross-country trip in their VW bus. Not entirely accurate, but okay. YouTube is uncharacteristically short. It says, when a fluke gets an awkward 7-year-old invited to compete in a beauty pageant, her misfit family rallies behind her. That's a little closer to what happened, sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into the characters. Richard is played by Greg Kinnear, and both George and I have seen him in Mystery Men, and I've seen him in Nurse Betty and Ghost Town.
And I've seen him in As Good as It Gets, You've Got Mail, and heard him in Robots.
Cheryl is played by Toni Collette, and for the podcast we've seen her in The Sixth Sense, and both George and I have seen her in Knives Out, and I've seen her in Mickey 17, Juror Number 2, Nightmare Alley, the 2021 version, and Shaft, the 2000 version.
I was really surprised that I haven't seen her in stuff. Like, I could have sworn I'd seen her in stuff.
Well, you've seen her in The Sixth Sense.
Sure. I thought I saw her in more stuff.
Yeah, well, this show does that to you.
Yeah.
I thought I seen him so much more. Dwayne is played by Paul Dano. For the podcast, we've seen him in 12 Years a Slave. And both George and I have seen him in Cowboys and Aliens. And on my own, I've seen him in There Will Be Blood, The Fabelmans, The Batman 2022 version, and Looper.
And I've seen him in The Girl Next Door.
Wow, that is one generic title. What was The Girl Next Door about? Don't say A Girl Next Door.
A porn star moves in next door to a bunch of teenagers.
So it's a comedy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like it would be a horror film, right? Or a thriller. Yeah. It's got that kind of title, but it's got single white female vibes in the title, but it's not that. And
Jennifer Lopez was in a movie with a seemingly similar title, I think. It sounds like to me. Anyway. Frank is played by Steve Carell, and both George and I have seen him in The Office. And on my own, I've seen him in Foxcatcher, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, The Big Short, Asteroid City, Vice, and Cafe Society.
And I've seen him in Bruce Almighty, Get Smart, the 2008 one, and heard him in Despicable Me.
Olive is played by Abigail Breslin. And for the podcast, we've seen her in Signs.
And I've seen her in Zombieland and Zombieland Double Tap. And I have to correct something. Earlier I said that she won an Oscar for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. She did not. She was nominated, though, for this role.
Edwin is played by Alan Arkin. And both George and I have seen him in The Rocketeer. And on my own, I've seen him in Argo, Gross Point Blank, Little Murders, The In-Laws, Catch-22, Poppy, The 7% Solution, Freebie and the Bean, Wait Until Dark, and The Rushes Are Coming, The Rushes Are Coming.
And I've seen him in Edward Scissorhands and Get Smart, the 2008 one, and he did win a Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role for this.
Yes, he definitely did win, because that...
Which is kind of not fair, because he didn't have to act for the whole movie. Abigail did.
I don't think they count by how much screen time you have, other than you're supporting. All right, let's get into the plot here. Now, the theme of this movie is dreams dying.
And people!
Someone does die. Everyone in this film has a dream that goes up in smoke. The little girl wants to win a beauty pageant. She doesn't. The grandfather wants to see her in the pageant. He doesn't. The son wants to be a jet pilot. He won't be one. The dad wants to be a life coach. That does not happen. The mom has to deal with the fallout of everyone else's failures, which obviously isn't the life she was hoping for. And finally, there is the brother of the mom, who has failed in romance and suicide. This movie opens with everyone looking depressed. Probably the least miserable person or at least the least depressed-looking person, is Edwin, the grandfather, and that's because he's snorting heroin.
Mm-hmm.
These people all live together, which makes things even more depressing. One day, while at the dinner table, Olive, the little girl, has qualified for the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant, being held in beautiful downtown Dondo Beach, California. They all live in New Mexico. The problem is the family can't afford a plane ticket. Edwin has been training Olive for the dance competition, so he wants to go. Richard, the husband, tells Cheryl, the wife, she should go, but she can't drive stick, and she doesn't want to leave Frank, her brother, who just got out of the hospital for a suicide attempt, and Dwayne, her son, alone. I actually don't understand, and maybe you can explain this to me, George. I understand why Dwayne can't be alone. He's refusing to speak to anyone, and is a real sourpuss, but he's not dangerous to himself or others. So why can't
No, but she doesn't want to leave him alone with
Edwin?
Frank. She doesn't want to leave her teenage son in charge of the suicidal guy.
But I'm thinking, like, why Frank could have gone with her. I'm saying, why couldn't he be alone? Since he didn't come anyway. So whatever. I just thought it was weird. I mean, I know why for the plot, because he has to be there. Yeah. But in reality, let the little sourpuss stay home. He's not going to hurt anything. Anyway, the family decides everyone should go. So they take their broken down Volkswagen van and go on the road. During their trip, the van's clutch brakes, forcing them to push the vehicle to get it going. At a gas station, Frank is buying pornography for Edwin and runs into his ex-boyfriend, who has taken up with Frank's rival, which is what prompted Frank's suicide attempt. Richard's agent plays phone tag with him, so he gets on a borrowed bike and rides to Scottsdale, Arizona to confront the guy, only to find out that Richard's self-help book just isn't going to happen. Nobody wants it. The next day, Edwin dies.
Yup.
He sure does. At the hospital, the grief counselor is being a jerk for some reason. When the family wants to leave Edwin's corpse to go to the pageant, she's really nasty about it. Rather than continue to argue, they smuggle the corpse out a window and put his body in the back of the van.
And I just want to point out, at this point in the movie is where the family comes together. Like, the scene before, when Richard has to tell Cheryl that his book deal isn't happening and there's no money coming from that, she acts her fucking heart out with the look that she gives him. Like, he's in the car and she is just looking at him like, oh my God, I let you put your penis in me so many times. I had your babies. Why? Why did I do that? What was wrong with me that I chose you of all the men on this planet to do that with? She sold that look. And then after this, like, she's still there, but here it's like, you know what? Family. We're going to smuggle a corpse.
He actually does a pretty good job of motivating this. So that we can see what he had the skills from. Because he generally does have talent. He's not completely useless. Even though at that dinner table, when you first see him, he's talking about his 9 goals or whatever.
9-step process. Yeah.
It's really... Oh, by the way,
he's like an atheist, vegan, or CrossFitter that just started, or polyamorous person who just started doing those things.
I want to ask you, I may ask it later in the discussion, and I forget if I have it down there or not, so I'll just ask it now. What point is it at the movie where you're like, this is really annoying me, and then you said later, oh, this movie's won me over again. Do you remember? Because you texted me saying, oh, I hate this movie. Oh, no, I like it.
When it's early in their trip, when they stop at a diner, and Richard tells Olive that eating ice cream is going to make her fat. Like, at that point, I wanted to shoot him in the forehead. Like, no, the occasional ice cream isn't going to hurt anybody. And to the movie's credit, later on, it won't shoot him in the head, but it will push back on that itself. Like, I didn't even have to ask it to.
Okay, so near the end of the journey, Dwayne discovers he is colorblind, which sends him into an emotional tailspin. It is at this point he starts finally talking. He yells insults at the family, then apologizes for it.
Yeah, that's because that's him. That's how we find out he'll never be a test pilot.
Right. and you can't fly if you're colorblind.
Yeah.
Which, why is that a thing?
A lot of things in the sky are kind of the same color, and if you take away the little bit of difference that there is, they just look like one thing, and it makes it easier to fly into things.
After a frantic race to register Olive, Richard makes arrangements for Edwin's body to be picked up. The next scenes are wildly uncomfortable as this pageant tarts up these little girls. Although they're all taught by Olive, who does a wildly inappropriate dance routine that gets her permanently banned from ever being a beauty pageant in the state of California ever again. It is really wild. I'm not doing it justice. You have to see the movie to understand. That last scene there, and then her dance coming out, it's something else.
It sure is.
Anyway, the film ends with the entire family, sans Edward, getting back into the RV and heading back to Albuquerque. The end. George, as always, I've left out a lot. What would you like to add?
Olive's dance at the end was only a skosh more inappropriate than the other dances. Like, the only difference was that the music and the song choice were like, get that ass.
Yeah, it was a Prince song, one of his dirtier ones.
Yeah.
Then also she does a dance where she pulls open her blouse. Now, she's wearing something under it, but they shoot it from the back for a moment, and it looks like she's just showing her chest. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck?
And this was choreographed by her recently dead heroin-addicted grandfather. Porn-loving grandfather. Like, this is a recipe for disaster. But also, the entire the ones that are still alive, get up on that stage with her to shield her from pageant officials and also support her. And when she gets banned, they're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We have the best kid.
This is the other scene where Frank finally comes into his own. I mean, I think him rallying everyone to take his dad out of the hospital. And then later, this part where he's like, I'm going to protect my daughter. You're trying to thrust her off the stage. She wants to do this routine. I'm going to let her do it, and I'm going to protect her. And then the whole family jumps in, and you can tell, oh, these people really do love each other, even if they do it in the worst way possible. They really are a caring family. They're just really bad at it. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into the discussion then, unless you want to add anything else.
Yeah, just the thing about the ice cream, like, she asks Miss California, like, do you like ice cream? And Miss California is like, fuck yeah, I like ice cream. Which is the movie's way of pushing back on you're going to get fat if you eat ice cream. Like, right. Because it's true. You can eat anything you want in moderation. And it won't affect your weight. Just eat fewer calories or as many calories as you burn.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the movie clearly is against beauty pageants. I think.
Yes.
I think that's a message that's hard to miss. So yeah, it pushed back on a lot of dumb things the dad says. But again, he's not actually, because it seems like when we first see him, to me anyway, I thought, well, he's going to be the asshole throughout this entire film. He's going to be the bad guy. And he's actually not. Mm-hmm. He's not great. Obviously, he makes a lot of dumb mistakes, as I'm sure we can all relate to. I'm not a father, you are, but I'm sure you would admit you've made some dumb mistakes with your kids. Every parent has. I mean, it's impossible not to. It's hard raising kids. Mm-hmm. You don't always know what to do, and you don't always have the answers or the best answers at the time you say them. So, yeah, I thought it sounds like I'm getting into this still working before we even have the discussion, but I think it is a terrific example of how to write a family of people who can still love each other and still do really fucked up things, which I guess could also be said of Crooklyn now that I think about it. So this would have been interesting. I was talking about double features in the last episode. I was like, this would have been an interesting double feature with Crooklyn.
Yeah.
What are some of your failures and how did you move on?
Well, Joe, the Navy called me fat and broke up with me. I moved on by getting another fucking job. Let's see. My first marriage ended. I got past that by getting a divorce and finding somebody else. I don't know, Joe. I don't really know how to answer this question.
You can answer it any way you want.
Okay, then I just did.
Okay, that's fine. There is no...
How about you, Joe? What failure?
Answer it.
Okay.
I was going to ask you. I was going to answer it. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a failed stand-up. We'll see if I'm also a failed author.
So I don't think you're going to be a failed author because you did write a book.
That's true.
And there's no like sales qualification to being. You wrote a book. You're an author.
Fair enough. I'm not in a relationship. I didn't even divorce anybody. I've never been married, which is a source of irritation for me. So I've had a number of different failures, and then you get up and you keep on going. I mean,
yep.
I'm trying to. What I've been mostly focused on is where well, this is what we've also discussed before. I'm a person who likes to think forward rather than keep going back past failures. So I'm thinking like, what is my life going to be in the next couple of years? Because I'm facing retirement, going to do it as soon as I can. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to live overseas. Where would I live? And I'm looking at how I can make friends if I do that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going, and even my relationship with you, it's advanced from where I used to be. I'm not necessarily a failure, but I didn't have many friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I made efforts to change that. And, if you fail at something, you get, and if it seems like a dream isn't just going to happen, and then sometimes you do have to give up on your dreams, you make new ones.
Pick a different one. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to make a new one. Okay. Now, Steve Carell plays a gay man in this movie. Is that okay?
I'm going to go with no.
Okay.
We had gay actors in 2006.
Did we? Are you sure?
Yes. There were gay people in Hollywood in 2006. I don't know why they needed to find a straight guy to play a gay man in 2006.
You know what? I sort of agree with you, and I don't necessarily think this character. Quite frankly, I don't even know the character even had to be gay because there's nothing. He doesn't really do anything. They just say, "Hey, he's gay." Ta-da! Doesn't date anybody. He has no relationships. It's just like he's gay in the same way they would be gay in sitcoms. They say he's gay, and then he does no dating or any relationship with me.
Well, no, but the relationship problem that he has is
jumped and went with someone else. Yeah,
and he runs into the guy, and I
guess. But the thing is, the thing about gay characters or gay actors, I think most gay actors, and people write in if I'm incorrect on this, I think they probably aren't bothered by a straight man playing a gay character. What probably bothers them most is that when a straight man gets to play a straight character and the gay characters, like it's the same thing when we've had this discussion about handicapped people. The non-handicapped person gets the role and they get to have the handicapped role. You know what I mean? It's like they get everything. And here's a role that's written specifically for this type, and you're still giving it to them. I think that's what people object to. So I would imagine, at least in terms of gay people, if you allow a gay actor to play straight characters, a bunch of straight characters, then probably they wouldn't mind. It's just that when you only have straight characters playing straight characters, and then you have straight characters playing gay characters, I think is what, if I were actor, that would pisses me off. Because I want opportunity too here. And I know that was certainly true for handicapped actors. They're getting no roles. They will hire someone. And here's the thing. An interesting thing about Steve Carell, and there's also true of Alan Arkin, interesting enough. Both of them have played blackface, or a version of blackface. Steve Carell in the Dana Carvey show, a show you probably never even heard of, he was on a show called Dana Carvey Show, and he is dressed up as an Indian person, I believe, in a skit.
Fisher Stevens did.
Yes, the Fisher Stevens problem. And Alan Arkin has played a Puerto Rican. I believe he also played an Indian person. And he just played, and again, this is all within recent history, for God's sake. But like, you couldn't find a person of color to play these roles, really? So it's a problem. For me, and again, people could disagree with me on this. I think it's more of a problem when you're doing having to put on makeup and stuff, as opposed to like, oh, I'm gay, I'm not gay. Because who can always tell? You know what I mean? So make him gay, okay, but are you still hiring gay actors to play straight roles? That would be, if I were gay, that would be my main concern. But I don't know. But you're right. Ultimately, yes, you're right. They could have hired a gay person to play this. Why not? Even though Steve Carell is perfectly fine in it. Really? You couldn't find a gay actor? Okay. Next question. What do you think Richard, played by Greg Kinnear, what do you think of him as a father? Is he toxic? Is he just trying his best? And does he grow? Now, I obviously think he's trying his best, but what do you think?
Yeah, I thought he was trying his best, and I think he grew. I hate this fucking movie because of the ice cream thing. That was my worst moment for him as a father. Like, that's the worst thing he did was that.
Right.
If that's the worst thing he's doing as a father, okay, he's not the worst father.
In a sense, well, especially for what we see fathers doing these
Yep.
He's really not bad.
Here's looking at you, precious.
Yes, absolutely. That's the first film I thought of. Exactly. He does not do that. Yeah, he's a jerk. He's dumb, and he makes a lot of mistakes. But he obviously does care about his family. And even the scene with he's going about it the wrong way. Because I mean, isn't this their breakfast? If he had to object to it, it should have been, honey, this is not the first thing you should be eating. Should have said to the mother also, like, honey, should we really have our daughter have her first meal of the day is ice cream? Forget getting fat. This just doesn't seem healthy.
Because ultimately, it was the parents' decision to make the main consideration of that meal cost. And the fact that she could get ice cream on a waffle for less than $6 fit within the rubric that they provided. And then after she picked it, he changed the rules. That's part of why it pissed me off, too.
Yes, true. How effectively does Little Miss Sunshine use satire to expose the way society commodifies and warps young girls' bodies from a childhood age?
As well as it can. It poked fun at pageants. Great. Cool.
Okay. By the end of the film, Edwin is dead, and the whole family jumps on the stage to prevent Olive from being humiliated. Is this what saves the family? I obviously think it does, but...
I mean, as far as the movie goes... If not this, something else. Families have a way of surviving. Otherwise, like, at the point where Dwayne loses his shit because he just finds out that he's colorblind, right? He points out that they're on the brink of divorce. Not unfairly. Because, again, she sold that fucking look. That we're going to have this trip and then I'm getting a divorce because you're fucking useless. Mm-hmm. So maybe maybe this family wouldn't have survived without coming together like this.
I certainly don't believe this. If we saw these characters again, and I there's no need for a sequel, so hopefully that never happens. But I don't think the way I read it is at the end they're probably not going to get a divorce.
Yeah, no, that's how it seemed to go.
Yeah. Does the responsibility of the emotional lift all fall on the shoulders of Cheryl, played by Toni Collette, or does each family member play their part in helping each other out?
I'm going to go back to that scene again where Dwayne loses his shit. Because it's when his mom tries to get him to come that he flips out. When Olive goes down and puts an arm around him, he takes a deep breath, he looks at her and is like, all right, sis, let's go. And then he apologizes. Because siblings are weird in the way that they bond. And these weren't like they were mildly antagonistic, but she was also administering a fucking eye test to him in the back of the car, and he was doing it. Like he bought into it. Like, yeah, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression they were particularly antagonistic. I mean, he's older than her, obviously, so there's that. But other than that, he seemed to care about his sister. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the only one who notices she's gone in the truck, if you remember that scene.
Yep.
When they drive off, and he's the one who writes down in the pad, because it's the time he's not talking. He goes like, where's Olive? And they go like, oh my God.
Yep.
But I think each character has a moment of emotional breakthrough, or at least they know how to comfort the other character. They're not a complete dick all the way through. Because that father, Edwin, Alan Arkin's character, says some really dumb shit sometimes, some really insulting. But at the same time, he does love his son.
Yeah.
He actually does say this kid, hey, I'm very proud of you. I like what you've been doing. And he says, thanks, Dad. Because
it's actually like the last thing he says to him.
It is, yeah. Only we don't know it at the time. That's going to be the last.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he knew it. And that's why he said it.
He makes a point of saying, he does not care if he lives much longer, so that's why he's doing heroin and everything else. He's like, I'm going to be dying anyway, so I'm just going to do what I want to do. Which I certainly understand that sentiment.
All right. When you watch Olive stand out against that sea of rigid, cookie-cutter contestants, does that visual make you think this exclusion mirrors the real-world outsider experience Black women face in mainstream beauty spaces?
That's a good question. Going back to the first Black Miss America, one of the criticisms that some Black people had of her win was not obviously her winning, but the fact that she was so light-skinned. And they thought, oh, dark-skinned women couldn't win that, although I think later one did. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, these things do matter. I think our standards of beauty have changed over the years. Even in 2006, I think it was different. Certainly 20 years later. I do think there are a lot more women allowed to be attractive with dark skin. I mean, after all, we just had the controversy with the Odyssey, which involved a Helena Troy played by a dark-skinned Black woman, and most normal people said, cool. And only a certain rich bastard, billionaire, trillionaire decided this is disgusting, and then
I'm gonna use my AI to make a historically accurate version of this myth.
Yes, he's going to do a historically accurate version of the Odyssey. Yes, that's what he said. It's almost certainly not going to happen. Because the man lies like the devil. But this is just an example of what sort of racism is out there and the treatment of the beauty standards of Black women. But even then, ultimately the film was a hit. So for most people, normal people go like, no, I care. She's beautiful. Are you nuts? And it's a good movie. So fuck you.
Did the Hoovers' chaotic, forced road trip feel like a healthy reclamation of family solidarity, or did it feel like a toxic manifestation of familial survival mode?
A little bit of both, actually. There are different modes in the film where, and some of it's toxic, and I think the film knows that, and other times they're caring. I mean, which, again, is a good example of family, because, I think we've all said or done things to our either siblings or our parents that we went back and like, I probably should have said that. Probably shouldn't have done that. That was not cool. I really regret doing that. And just, we're not always our best selves.
How did Edwin's character land for you as an older guy who has decided since he's going to die soon, he no longer worries about doing drugs or having lots of casual sex?
As I mentioned, I completely relate to that. In fact, we really should live in a society, rather than having it where you have the right to kill yourself, you should have the right to smoke crack and do all sorts of drugs once you hit a certain age, where it's only going to end with you dying anyway, so why not just get all the drugs? All the drugs should be legal for you. Just, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, have fun. But also, and as we know in the in retirement homes, what do they have a big problem with?
Syphilis.
Right, syphilis. So we got nothing else that's going on. Let's just do some fucking. You can't get pregnant. Let's keep doing that.
I don't know how accurate it is, because I don't know if it was just an infographic that I saw or something, but it makes a certain amount of sense. It seems like even if we were to turn off aging, right? The maximum human lifespan would still be somewhere around 160 to 190 years, just based on the accumulation of genetic mutation. Like your genes, even if we solved the telomere problem where, genes will, or your cells will only reproduce so many times, it's why you eventually die. Even if we turn that off so that they'll just keep regenerating, there's a rate to genetic mutation, like calculable, and the accumulation of those mutations would result in cancers at a rate faster than you could possibly treat or cure them. So it's like, even if we solve aging, we're still going to live less than 200 years.
I know most people say, oh yes, I would like to live forever. I like to live at least 90, more than 90, 100 years or whatever, more than 100 years or whatever. And I think most people would like to live a long time in good health. But after a while, I would not, I don't know what the magic number would be, but I don't want to, let's say we all get to live. Like, so you're not experiencing it where you're living long and all your friends are dying, which has got to, it's very depressing. Let's say you and your friends, everybody gets to live a very, very long time. At some point, you're going like, I've seen all these movies before. They're just redoing films I've seen already. Oh, I've seen these plays that they're just redoing. This history tends to repeat a lot of things. You're like, especially in entertainment. And you're like, after a while, you're going to be bored. You're going to want death. You're like, I've been through all this already. I don't want to go through it again. It's just boring now. I'm just bored. After a while, I think people would be like, right to die. People like, okay, I've had enough. I just want to go already. I'm in good health and everything, but I'm just nothing.
Going out on a high note.
Yeah, I've been through it all. There's nothing else to do anymore. I just want to go.
Richard's entire identity is tied to a capitalistic 9-step program where success is entirely based on personal effort, a myth that completely ignores systemic barriers for people's lack of success. Does his financial failure seem like a comeuppance?
I think he's delusional. I don't know if I would characterize it as a comeuppance, because I don't know that he really deserves to fail on this. He is a jerk in a lot of ways, but he clearly does have talent. He can't do motivation, so he may have just picked the wrong thing to do it in. But is it a comeuppance? I mean, the 9-step program is dumb. He definitely has a dumb program. But the comeuppance would seem to imply that he deserves what happens to him. I don't know that he really does, especially based on what I see, the self-help people who are successful. He's certainly not that type. He's not Patrick Swayze's character in the Rabbit movie.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I know you're self-help guru who also has a child sex dungeon. Yeah.
He's not that. So he of all the characters we've seen of bad fathers and bad motivational...
Donnie Darko was the movie.
Donnie Darko, that was the name of him, right. Of all the bad motivational speakers we've seen and all the bad fathers, he's simply not that bad. He's just not great, but he's not evil. So no, I wouldn't take it as a comeuppance. Would you?
No, because for comeuppance would imply that he did something wrong that must be karmically solved somehow.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think he was like morally wrong for coming up with a stupid 9-step self-help thing. He was just wrong. Dwayne, played by Paul Dano, copes with his trauma and hatred of his family by taking a strict vow of silence, completely shutting down emotionally until his breakdown. Does this behavior ring true to you?
I am not... I've certainly had my moments where I've... sometimes with you, I've had my emotional breakdowns. I don't...
And likewise.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever... as a teenager, though, I was not the silent type necessarily. I've certainly... Probably I was really depressed, but I don't know. I never did that. I'm not just talking to anybody. Certainly at times I hated my family. I still have mixed feelings on my family right now, to be honest with you. So, yeah, can I really? I guess so. I guess it sort of does ring true. God knows. I've certainly met people like this, even if I myself have behaved this way. What about you?
In the Poly subreddit, somebody started a little text game like, hey, tell us what your favorite drink is, and we'll try and guess what that says about you. So I said black coffee, and somebody said, your vibes are classy, put together, and at least a mild belief in stoicism.
Okay.
And then one of my mod friends was like, he's steady and sensible, but I think the drink doesn't give a good indication of the whimsy that I know he has. So I don't know how much of it rings true with me.
And I wouldn't call you stoic.
Yeah, I wouldn't call me stoic either. I am way more emotionally expressive than even I give myself credit for.
I think what you are is not much different from where Greg Kinnear is at the end of this film, in the sense that you're growing and you're trying to learn. And you do that every day.
Yeah, which is the best we can really be doing.
Yeah, that's the best you can do.
All right, Joe, I'll ask the question this time. Does this still work?
Absolutely. I think it works as the film. I know I shouldn't say my role on the show, because no one's assigned me anything. I've decided to do it to myself. I know I tend to complain about there's not enough black representation, or just white. And this is a mostly white movie, although in this case you can make an excuse for it because it is a family, and the family's mostly white. So, and there are black characters in the background, but you really don't hear from any of them. But that wasn't a sticking point for me here. Overall, I thought it was a very well done picture. I thought the characters were realistic. I don't think it's aged poorly at all. You wouldn't know it's 20 years old. You could literally release this tomorrow, and most people wouldn't notice. it's interesting. Like I said, fashion hasn't really changed, but even the concept, or what Frank, the brother played by Steve Carell, who's the Proust. He's a scholar. Well, it's still Proust scholar. there's nothing here that's particularly like you couldn't relate to today. No one says or doesn't. The kid wants to join the Air Force. Lots of kids want to join the Air Force. There's nothing that stands out. We still, unfortunately, have beauty pageants. So, for children. Hasn't aged at all for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing, and I'm going to give it a pass on the casting or a straight guy as a gay character, because I'm queer, so I guess I can speak. If we ask me, no, I'm okay with this one. The only thing that kind of, which I always, well, not I always, because it's the only thing, this is the first thing we're seeing for the show with Steve Carell in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah.
I forgot to put in his credits that I've seen him in Space Force, the TV show.
Okay.
I also know how he looked at the end of The Office. He's gotten older. I know what Steve Carell looks like today. That has aged this movie. But that's a very me thing that has to know that that has aged this movie. So I can't ding the movie on it. Yeah, no, I think it was a solid story. It pissed me off, but it also won me back and solved the thing that pissed me off. And a lot of movies just don't do that. They piss you off, and then that thing never gets resolved.
That is true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the films we've seen so far in our, 5 years we've been doing this? How long has it been?
Hold on, I have a very specific answer to that question.
Yeah, well, because there is an answer to it. We've only been doing it for a finite amount of time.
No, but I have a tracker thing with important dates and how long it's been. 6 years, 7 months, 7 days.
So in the 6 years we've been doing this is probably maybe the only film, or certainly one of the few films we've seen that is this old. Because usually it's maybe at 10 years, like, okay, that's a change. This is 20 years old. You cannot tell. You really can't. I mean, You're saying Steve Carell's older now. They're all older. Alan Arkin's dead. It's all changed. It's been 20 years. But looking at the film doesn't look like a 20-year-old film to me.
Nope.
If we're watching something from the 70s, you can tell. Something even from the 80s, the 90s. With this picture, you cannot tell. Or even from 2000 and, I don't know. Well, I would think from 2000. But this is 2006. Nothing's different. Everything, there's a 20-year-old can watch this movie and still relate to it, So like, I don't understand what they're talking about. Book, trying to have a motivational speaker, what's that? It's like, everything still exists. All this is still possible. There's nothing in this film that rings like, oh, that wouldn't happen today. So it is, if this isn't the least aged film we've seen, it is one of them. Because this is just, I'm blown away by it. Because normally, even like the fashion, you can tell.
Yeah.
I can't. I know I keep mentioning that, but it's just funny to me.
Alrighty.
So we both agree. It still works.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wrap this up. This was a Patron's Choice episode, and the poll for next month's film is already up on Patreon. The theme is neo-noir. Neo-noir is a film genre that revives the old themes of classic film noirs. It gives them a modern spin. And those choices are No Way Out from 1987, The Grifters from 1990, and Brick, 2005. If you want to vote but are not a patron, you can fix that by becoming one at patreon.com/DTSWpod. Now, George, what's up next?
Next week, we'll be talking about Moonlight from 2016.
Oh, will we? Well, what will we do next week?
Well, as far as the listeners are concerned.
As far as the listeners, though, yeah. Oh, you know what? I just realized we didn't ask that for Moonlight. I know, we already saw it. We didn't ask if the actor's gay or not. Didn't even occur to me just until this moment. Like, we never even think to ask. I know the director is, definitely. But I don't know if the actors were. Too late now.
Yep, it is too late now.
So I guess that's it for this. Oh, by the way, do you know any of those films? Have you seen No Way Out?
Nope.
Or Brick?
None of them.
No Way Out, if I remember, is a Kevin Costner movie with Gene Hackman, and someone is a spy, and he's got to find a spy. The Grifters are about grifters. That's pretty obvious. Based on a 1950s novel, if I'm not mistaken. And Brick, what is that kid's name? The youth from Third Rock from the Sun.
Ashton Kutcher? I don't know if he was in that.
Whatever. Anyway, he's a 3-name actor. Oh, God damn it. I hate when I do this. Anyway, he's in Brick. And he plays a detective, but he's not really. He's a high school student, but it's set in the high school. So rather than a detective, he's just a student. But he goes through all the things a detective would do, like he's investigating stuff. And the principal, rather than a cop, it's a principal is trying to getting in his way of his investigation. If I remember the film correctly, you know who directed it? It was directed by the same guy who did Glass Onion.
Okay.
So he likes that genre.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I guess for this episode, I'm Joe Dixon. Thanks for listening.
And I'm George Romaka. Thanks for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's nobody around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros that doesn't matter.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Romaka.
This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.
The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
Frank is played by Steve Carell, and both George and I have. Do you want to again?
Yeah. Dear Abby, during our visit to my family at Thanksgiving 2 years ago, my father made advances towards my wife. Dear Annie, I have 2 adult children from my first marriage, John and Christine. I remarried 15 years ago and have a young child from this marriage. Finally, dear Dr. Graham, how do you know if your marriage is over?